Okay, so let's talk about the idea of an old soul. It's a term that gets thrown around a lot, often in a kind of mystical way. But today, we're going to strip all that away. We're going to look at the actual psychological architecture underneath, what the research says about the specific traits that make up this really unique profile. So, does this ever happen to you? You're in a perfectly normal conversation, everyone else seems to be having a good time, but you just feel a little empty? Or maybe it's this general feeling of being overwhelmed by just how loud and fast everything is all the time.
It's this constant pull toward things that are, well, quieter, older, slower. It's why you might find yourself reaching for a book instead of just scrolling through an endless social media feed. You're looking for real depth in a world that, let's be honest, mostly rewards the surface-level stuff.
And this isn't just a simple preference, right? It's more of a deep, nagging feeling that you're just misaligned. Like everyone else got the instruction manual for how to operate in this culture, and yours somehow got lost in the mail.
And that feeling, it can lead you to ask a pretty isolating question. Is there something wrong with me? Am I just not built for the world the way it is right now? Well, the answer might actually surprise you.
So here's the key. Psychology has actually been studying these traits for years, and what comes out of it isn't some vague spiritual idea, but a pretty concrete psychological profile. And that gives us a language for something that a lot of people have felt their whole lives but could never quite put their finger on.
Which brings us to the core of what we're talking about today. We're going to break down the 6 key psychological signs that really build the case for this old soul profile. So let's get right into it.
First up, we have this really fundamental feeling that you're just not quite in step with the times.
In psychology, this is sometimes called temporal dissonance. Now, this isn't about wishing you lived in the 1920s or something. It's a massive values mismatch. See, the modern world is all about optimizing for speed, for what's new. But your mind, it's wired to optimize for depth and for meaning. It's like you're trying to run a completely different operating system. Okay, the second sign. This one is one of the most consistent markers we see, and it's all about who you connect with.
And let's be clear, this isn't about you thinking your friends are immature. It's about a hunger for a certain kind of conversation. You find yourself drawn to people with more life experience because you're looking for that perspective that psychologist Erik Erikson talked about in the later stages of life, that sense of wisdom that just comes from living. The conversations are denser, you know? They've been tested by time.
All right, our third sign. This one really gets to the very core of how your mind actually works. This ties in directly with Dr. Elaine Aron's research on the highly sensitive person. It's this tendency to really thoroughly process information before you respond. So where someone else might have a quick thought and just move on, you turn it over. You look at it from every single angle, and you have to pull a lesson from it before you can finally put it down.
And this quote just nails the difference perfectly. This isn't just worrying. It's not overthinking on a hamster wheel. Deep processing is a journey. Yeah, it can be slow and it can be exhausting for sure, but it actually leads somewhere. It produces a genuine insight that changes you.
The fourth sign, this one is fascinating. It reveals this huge contradiction, a real study in what you have patience for. So check out this asymmetry. Small talk is absolutely draining for you. Why? Because you're bringing this massive engine of deep processing to an interaction that doesn't need it, and that mismatch just burns you out. But give that same mind a really complex philosophical problem, and suddenly your patience is almost infinite. It's what Carl Jung called negative capability, being able to sit with complexity and uncertainty without rushing for an easy answer.
And that capacity for complexity, it flows right into our fifth sign.
You know, the big ones. Why are we here? What does it mean to live a good life? For most people, these are questions you only think about during a crisis. But for you, they're like a constant background hum. Thinkers like Schopenhauer base their whole philosophy on this kind of existential sensitivity. It's not a source of anxiety, it's just a genuine, lifelong interest in the deep structure of things.
And that brings us to our final sign, which explores that rich, internal world you live in.
The old soul is almost never the most outwardly emotional person in the room. Now, this isn't repression, it's discretion, and it's been hard-won. You've learned over time that the full intensity of what you're feeling can be a bit much for most social situations, so you process it internally. This is what Jung meant by true introversion. Your primary, most real life is the one happening inside your own head.
So, okay, we put all these pieces together. What does this actually mean? If this profile sounds like you, what's your place in the world?
Well, there are definitely real costs. There's the loneliness of feeling out of sync, the mental exhaustion from all that deep processing, but the gifts are just as profound. You have a capacity for a depth of experience that most people will never even get close to, an inner life that is incredibly rich and completely your own.
So the most important thing to take away from all this is simple. If you saw yourself in these signs, please listen to me. You are not out of place. You are not broken. You are not failing at being some simpler version of yourself that you think you should be. You are exactly who you are. And that leaves us with one last, really vital question. Instead of always asking, what's wrong with me? I want you to start asking this. With a mind that is literally built for depth, for meaning, and for complexity, what can you build with that? What can you create? What can you understand?